Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a professional stock analysis report to see what it really tells us. And for our case study, we've got a really interesting one, the AI and analytics company, BigBear.ai. All right, let's crack this case file open.
So, if you've been watching BigBear.ai, ticker BBAI, you know it's been a completely wild ride. The stock has seen these massive price swings, huge trading volume, and just a ton of chatter. After that big pump in mid-October, fueled by all the AI hype, it saw a really sharp correction. So the big question on everyone's mind is, where is it going to go from here?
Well, the answers, or at least the clues, they're hidden right here in the data. Think of this technical analysis report as our case file. We're going to be the detectives, all right? We'll look at the evidence, piece by piece, to build a picture of what the market might be signaling for BigBear.ai.
First, let's just set the scene here. After trading pretty steady back in September, BBAI just exploded in mid-October. It hit a high of over $8.50 on massive volume. But just as quickly, the whole AI sector kind of rotated and the stock corrected hard, hitting a low of $5.29 in early November before bouncing back just a little. I mean, this is the definition of high volatility.
Okay, so our first clue comes from analyzing the overall trend. This is probably the most fundamental question in technical analysis. Is the stock's price generally heading up, down, or sideways? You gotta know if you're swimming with the current or against it.
To find that trend, analysts use a tool called moving averages. Imagine plotting a stock's price every single day. It looked like a chaotic, zigzagging mess, right? A moving average just smooths out all that chaos by taking an average price over a certain period, say 10 or 50 days. This gives us a much cleaner line that shows the real underlying direction.
And for BBAI, well, the situation is pretty clear. According to our report, the current price is trading below key moving averages, like the 10-day, the 20-day, and the 50-day. When the price is stuck under these averages, it's a classic textbook sign confirming a downtrend. So that's our first major piece of evidence. And the report provides even more data to back this up. It uses several complex indicators, things with fancy names like a trend strength score and an Arun oscillator. But you don't need to know the math behind them. They all point to the exact same conclusion. The downtrend is real. And crucially, another measure confirms that right now, the sellers have more power than the buyers. The sellers are in control.
All right, now for our second clue, momentum. So if the trend tells us the direction the car is going, momentum tells us how hard the driver is pressing on the gas pedal. Is the price movement speeding up, or is it just running out of steam? To measure this, analysts use tools called oscillators. The name sounds super technical, but the idea is simple. They oscillate or swing between high and low values, kind of like a car's speedometer. They help us see how fast the price is changing, and they can even signal when a move is getting overextended and might be about to reverse. Now for BBAI, the momentum readings, well, they're not very encouraging if you're a bull. The report shows that key indicators are negative. A really popular one called the MACD has registered a bearish crossover, which is basically a technical signal that momentum has shifted to the downside. The overall scores are negative, suggesting the stock is losing power.
But wait, here's where we find a little nuance in the case file. The report says that while all this negative momentum warns of more downside, it's not all bad news. Other indicators suggest that while there's still downward pressure, the selling might be losing some of its intensity. In other words, the price could be starting to stabilize.
Finally, we get to our third clue, volatility. This is all about risk. It tells us how much the stock's price tends to swing up and down. And with a volatile stock like BBAI, you can have big gains for sure, but you can also have really big losses, and they can happen fast. A great way to measure this is with a metric called beta. The market as a whole has a beta of 1. As you can see here, BBAI's beta is 1.45. This means it is theoretically 45% more volatile than the overall market. So when the market goes up, BBAI tends to go up more, but when the market goes down, it tends to fall harder.
Another volatility tool is something called Bollinger Bands. Just think of them as two lines that create a price channel, like guardrails on a highway around a moving average. The report says the price is currently in the mid-lower section of this channel. Now, this is a critical spot. It suggests the stock is at a pressure point where a significant move, either a bounce back toward the middle or a breakdown to that lower band, could be coming very soon. So, we've gathered our evidence. We've got a downtrend, we've got negative momentum, and we've got high volatility. Now it's time to put it all together and see what the final verdict from our detectives report is.
So what's the bottom line? The report takes data from over 120 individual indicators and synthesizes it all into one general technical score. And for BBAI, that score is negative 42%. The report officially classifies this as a bearish outlook.
Let's just quickly recap our case file. The evidence is pretty clear. The overall trend is down, momentum is negative, key directional indicators are bearish, and the volatility is high, which means significant risk. The report also notes that the burst of AI hype that drove the price up in October, well, it seems to be fading, which lines up with all these technical signals. But hey, analysis isn't just about what's happening now. It's about what could happen next. The report lays out two potential paths based on key price levels. In the bullish scenario, if the price can break above that resistance level of 669, it could signal a move higher. On the flip side, in the bearish scenario, if it falls below the support level of 571, the next target could be that lower Bollinger Band, down around 524.
So what's the final recommendation? The report calls BBBI a high-risk play. It suggests a technical strategy, potentially buying the stock if it dips to that support level, or maybe shorting it if it rallies to resistance. Now, it is absolutely crucial to remember this is a technical-only analysis. Investors should always consider the fundamentals and the just plain volatile nature of these AI stocks.
And that's how you decode a technical report. We've turned all this complex data into a clear story with specific signposts to watch. But you have to remember, this analysis provides a roadmap, not a crystal ball. It gives you the evidence and the probabilities. So now, I'm going to turn the question over to you. Based on this case file, if you were the investor, what would your next move be?